Welcome to Life Mastery TV, your source for inspiration, empowerment, and fulfillment. My name is David McLeod. I am your Life Mastery coach and author of the book, A Life to Die For. I am so excited because we're now up to episode 174, and today our topic is called Life Purpose Found. Sounds cool, doesn't it? You know, for some people, finding a life purpose can seem like finding a needle in a haystack. And sometimes that needle can be exceedingly difficult to locate, especially when there are so many haystacks to look into. But when you finally find what you are looking for, the sense of accomplishment is usually pretty exhilarating. Not only that, but once you know your life purpose, everything about life takes on a whole new dimension and meaning. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. My guest for this episode is a health coach who specializes in helping people with diabetes to regain control of their lives. She went through a challenging time of her own that motivated her to become an expert about this topic and helped her to find her life purpose. We're going to find out more about that today. I think today she is definitely going to inspire you to become more connected and more aligned with your own life purpose. So please welcome Diane Achatz to today's show. Welcome, Diane. Come on camera so we can see your lovely face. There you are.
Hello, David. Thank you so much for having me on your show. This is really exciting for me because I love your program. I learned so much. I just love it.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that you watch the show and that you enjoy it. And I also appreciate that you're here. I remember, I think when I first met you, it was on one of Anna's group gatherings, and I was impressed by your story, and I thought it might be fun to have you on this show. And in fact, I'd like to start there because you shared something when we were on that group call with Anna that really touched me, and I thought this is going to touch other people too. So I know that you've had some challenges in your life, and you had your own diagnosis of diabetes, and I was wondering if you could maybe start there and tell us how this transformed your life and how you got to know your purpose.
Right. Thank you. To me, it really is exciting because at my age, I never expected to find a purpose. I think I was searching for it for a long time, tried a lot of different things, different jobs, different, areas of work. And I really didn't feel like I had a purpose. And at the time, I would say maybe even as much as a year before I was diagnosed, I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So I was having that problem to deal with, the constant 24/7 pain. Just getting the diagnosis was huge. That was in 2005, actually. And because I thought before I was diagnosed, I thought I was really losing my mind. I thought everything was in my head.
Sure.
And when I finally got the diagnosis from the doctor, I just broke into tears because I couldn't believe it. So then I thought, okay, now what do I do? And we went through a lot of personal things, traumatic things that happened over a period of time. And we moved back from California back to Pennsylvania, where I was raised and grew up. And we found jobs at a local store, and I started to work, standing on my feet for 8 hours a day, which was really difficult given my symptoms of fibromyalgia. So by the time I left that job, I was just really feeling pretty awful. I mean, I was way overweight. I was tired all the time. I was grumpy. I couldn't walk more than I could even make it to a block without stopping to catch my breath. It was ridiculous.
Sure.
And I kept thinking to myself, I don't know what's happening to me. I'm too young to be going through this. And finally, I went for my regular checkup. I had the blood work done, went to the doctor, and he told me my A1C was 8, which they want you to keep.
Hold on, no. You're saying things, and maybe people don't know what that means. So what is A1C?
I'm sorry. It is a blood test that involves your blood and hemoglobin, and it gives the doctor a picture of your blood glucose over a 3-month period of time. and it's rated by percentages. So 9%, mine was 8%, which is high because they want you to be under 6.
Right.
So right away, I thought, on top of everything else, and this was, I remember the day quite well because it was January 30th, 2015. And I thought, I mean, I didn't even know what to think. And I kind of wallowed around for 2 days, and I thought, well, this is ridiculous. I got bored of just feeling sorry for myself.
Sure.
And some part of me had known for years that I was probably going to get diabetes because my father had it, his brother had it. So there was a family history.
Right.
But I thought every decade past the age of 40, which is when my father it was diagnosed, I thought, oh, I'm safe. This isn't going to happen to me. Never mind that my husband was already diabetic and was a great role model. I could have been following and doing what he was doing, but no, because I thought I was special and this was not going to happen to me. I was like, I'm the golden girl. No, this isn't going to happen. Every 10 years, and then fate, then life lowered the boom. I'm like, oh no. But it really saved my life because I don't know where I'd be today without that diagnosis. Because I know all of the complications that can develop. I mean, just heart disease, kidney disease, eye disease. There's a possibility of losing limbs. My father lost toes. I didn't want that to happen. And I knew I had better straighten up and start paying attention.
Right.
So I did. I started to watch what I ate. I started to log my food and I really kept track of the carbs. And I started to exercise slowly, walking and whatever. Really, I proceeded quite nicely to the point where I was actually doing Zumba classes once a week.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
And I brought my A1C from 8 down to 5.8.
Mm-hmm.
So that was huge, but I was doing it basically, I mean, I had the support of my husband, but it was basically doing it by myself. I didn't have a coach. I had an online group that was kind of, helpful. And
Mm-hmm.
people would start to ask me questions about what I was doing and so forth. And I finally, after about 8 months, I took a look at myself, and here I had lowered my A1C. I was starting to exercise. I was getting much more fit. I was feeling 100% better, even with the fibromyalgia. I was managing that because sugar is something you really need to avoid when you have fibromyalgia because of the inflammatory process things. And I thought, if I could do this by myself at my age, I could help anybody, because I would hear all the time from people, other women my age, I'm too old. I can't lose weight. I just can't lose weight. I'm too old to do this. I don't want to exercise. I'm too old to exercise. I don't want to join the gym. I don't, excuse after excuse after excuse. And I knew for a fact that was just like Christy said, belief, the L-I-E in the word belief.
Correct.
That's what it is. And it's all about mindset.
Right.
So one day I was having a discussion with my husband in the car. We were coming back from the gym, and he's really great. He actually has now gone on to become a certified fitness trainer. He's an elite trainer and has his online certification. Our dream became that we would have a joint practice. And I was talking to him on the way home, and I said, you do such a great job with me. I think you should do this for a living. Have you ever thought about it? He said, yeah, I've thought about it. I said, well, go ahead, go do it. So he did the research and found a school that he wanted to. He's ISSA certified. Mm-hmm. And every day I'd go on Spark People, which was the site that I used for support. Friendly support articles, that kind of thing, research. And in the corner of my screen, every day for, I would say, 2 or more weeks, an ad would pop up in the corner of my screen that said, become a health coach, HCI, Health Coach Institute. And I just ignored it for the first few days. And this thing kept popping up and popping up. And I was looking at other schools at the time. I'm like, all right, I'm so sick of seeing this ad. I'm just going to check it out. Well, I checked out the school. The credentials are fantastic. They teach you, not only do you get certifications as a life coach and a health coach, but they every year they add more things. And I thought, okay, I think this is the one I'm going to go to because it teaches you business as well.
Right.
So I signed up, and I didn't see another ad for HCI for months. So I went, okay, God and my guides, they are giving me a message.
Right.
I'm supposed to do this.
Right.
Wasn't sure, how it was going to happen, how I was going to afford it. But when you make a decision like that to change your life, you just have to make the decision to want to commit to the change. Right. And the universe lets you know how you're going to do it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
I'm stunned. And I mean, that is, I swear on a stack of Bibles, that is exactly how it happened, how I became, because that ad kept popping up.
Wow.
And it just, the more I learned, the more I wanted to help. So right. I thought diabetes is pandemic. Mm-hmm. And there are so many people in this world that are walking around that are undiagnosed. And it is a deadly disease, because if the diabetes itself doesn't kill you because your insulin is so out of whack, there are all kinds of other health problems that could not only change your life, but end it. And I thought, if I can help just one person control their blood sugar and get them back to the point where they feel good, they just have a refound zest for life. Their doctors are thrilled with them. They lower their heart rate, they lower their blood pressure. If I could just do that for one person, that's huge. That means I have met my purpose.
That's great. Yeah.
And that's what drives me, the desire to help. And now I know not only do I want to help people that have been diagnosed, I want to get to the people that are insulin resistant, that I can help to the point they're just with some everyday, like really simple, sustainable steps that enable them to make the changes in their life so they can avoid the diagnosis of diabetes and never have to suffer. And it's so doable. It's 100% possible.
Wow, that's quite a story. And, you've certainly shared a lot of really, really good little nuggets of wisdom in that story. And I think I'm going to try and unpack this a little bit. God, I hate that term, unpack. Everybody's unpacking stuff,
I know.
Now I'm saying it. Anyway, before I do that, I just want to acknowledge Renee, who has been struggling with fibromyalgia as well. And yeah.
Oh, I see. I was so busy watching you, I didn't see the comment.
Yeah, right. And so I just want to acknowledge that. And thank you, Renee, for sharing that. And I hope that you're finding a way of healing yourself as well. Maybe you and Diane can get together and talk a little bit.
That would be what, Renee, I would so love to talk to you. You contact me. There are things that I know that have helped me with fibromyalgia that I know will help you, and it'll give you some form of relief. But I would, please reach out, because I want to talk to you. We can get this. We can help. We can get this done.
So I guess the first thing I noticed in what you said is something that happens to a lot of people. First, people seem to be seeking the life purpose rather than allowing their life purpose to just simply bubble up from who they are. Mm-hmm. This is a common problem that I see all over the world. And I even see people going into full-blown life purpose coach kind of programming to help people, find that life purpose. Very often it's like the way you describe it, a kind of a random walk. I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try this, I'll try that, until something sticks and it feels like it's part of who I am. And sometimes you might actually find it that way. But I think that the real truth is it is, as I described at the beginning, it's kind of like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And because we are doing this random walk, we're bouncing around from one haystack to another. Mm-hmm. And going through the same process over and over again. Now, the other thing that you mentioned, this whole thing about, fibromyalgia first and then diabetes, has led you to the notion of health and health coaching. And that's really something that I think is important for people to understand. If you have some kind of wound that has happened in your life, whether it's a health issue or a trauma in your life or something, very often that incident, that occurrence, that experience can be a trigger to help you connect to what your soul purpose really is. Some people, though, obviously they don't want to relive the trauma, they don't want to relive the pain, and so they try to avoid it, which is ironic. If you follow that pain and understand where it came from and why you were exposed to it, you might actually connect to the truth of who you really are and understand, oh, this is telling me about that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not listening, you're not going to hear that.
Right. That's so true. I mean, you really do have to follow the breadcrumbs. And I loved your analogy about saying there's so many haystacks. We live so many years of our lives just digging into haystacks all over the place. And sometimes it does take a wound to push you to that point where you're ready to say enough. There's got to be something better, and I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with fibromyalgia, the one thing, I'm really becoming more interested in helping people with fibromyalgia, because fibromyalgia and diabetes are linked. There are a lot of people who are diagnosed first with fibromyalgia and then develop type 2 diabetes. If I can help those people with fibromyalgia reduce their blood glucose levels, that will help them avoid the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And that's become my mission is, I see families, I see children, not only, and that's why I call myself the diabetes coach, because if you are diabetic,
you said
diabetes coach. It's an actual word, it was coined in the 70s. And it is a condition that you have if you have diabetes and you are overweight or obese.
Right. Okay.
Diabetes. I am the diabetes coach. I've been there. I've walked in those shoes. And I did it when I was a lot older than most people. I mean, a lot of people aren't even diagnosed until they're 50 or older. I mean, because there's a lifestyle change involved.
Sure.
And that's become, helping people is my passion, but getting people to avoid it, that's my mission.
Of course. Yeah. And, you made an interesting point there about the connection between fibromyalgia and diabetes. And I was going to ask about that. So I'm glad you brought it up. And it's not necessarily that one causes the other. It's more likely that one set of circumstances causes the fibromyalgia. And then if you don't deal with it in a certain way, then later on, you may end up with diabetes as well. Is that the way you understand it?
Yes. And because fibromyalgia is still a difficult thing to diagnose. As a matter of fact, prior to 2005, it was difficult to get a doctor to believe that you had all these symptoms. And they're so varied in so many people. And every day is different. You never hurt in the same place 2 days in a row. And the weather affects it. The barometric pressure affects it. The wind affects it. I can't even begin to tell you all the things that I have learned from talking to other women that have this.
Sure.
And
you work with women, but men can also get this. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I want to help everybody.
Yeah.
Men and women. And there are men that have fibromyalgia, and more women are afflicted with that. But I've known men that are also afflicted with that. Mm-hmm. And, you can be helped.
Right. Well, both of them sound pretty, well, I don't want to put a judgment on it, but I'm happy that I have never had to deal with those things. And I hope that most people don't.
Me too. I wouldn't wish either thing on anybody. Seriously. Right. Yeah. That's why I am really so enthusiastic about helping people avoid it. You don't have to go through diabetes if you take steps, and it's not too late. You can start at any time. Right. That's the best part. You can always improve.
Here, I think, is that all of these diseases could probably have been eliminated years ago just by teaching people how to eat healthy and avoid all the sugar and salt and all the other crap that we put in our diets. And the things that pass for food these days is pretty mind-boggling. And
yeah, it's diabolical what the food manufacturers do to us. Seriously diabolical, because, and the reason I know this, I have a coach, and she's coaching me on macros. I know that the only reliable way to control your blood sugar is to count macros, keep track of your macros.
Okay, what do you mean by macros?
Every food is either, or a combination of either protein, fat, carbs, and fiber. Those are your macronutrients.
Oh, I see.
So you want to try to balance your macros so that your body gets exactly what it needs. And we were having a call last night, and there are foods that are made to chemically induce you to want to eat more or drink more. I'll just start with a diet soda, which I lived on. I had diet sodas for years and years and years, never knew the damage it was causing. But there are chemicals that they put in foods that make you that affect your hormones, your ghrelin, your leptin, all those hormones that work to make your hunger hormones. That's what word I was looking for, your hunger hormones. And I find that to be really, truly diabolical. In order for them to buy their product, they kind of jack you up with chemicals that just mess with your hormones.
Right.
So eating whole foods, eating the least processed foods you can eat, that's the best thing.
Right. And the thing is, if you are going to eat processed foods and you do pay attention to the ingredients, they're sure as hell not going to tell you about these chemicals that they've added, because they're not required to by the FDA. Right.
And there are 56 different names for sugar.
Yeah, I know.
And you start reading labels, it's kind of that's one of the first things I teach my work with my clients. Learn how to read labels. That will save you an enormous amount of added sugars. And right. It's not always the sugar you put in your cereal or in your coffee, but it's the added sugars that you eat every day, not even realizing you're eating added sugars. High fructose corn syrup is,
oh my God,
that's the worst. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody who's, who works for a company.
I don't think we need to worry too much about that. We're interested in truth here. We're not interested in politics or any of that stuff. And to me, truth is the highest ideal. If you know
Absolutely.
that something causes damage to the body, then I think you owe it to people to tell them not to use that, because this is what can happen. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And go ahead.
We all have free will. So I can put this information out, and I do all the time. But I can't make people go to the store and read labels and not purchase the highly processed foods. That is their choice. They have to want to improve their health. They will have to want to live a healthier life.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. This whole notion of nutrition and health, and it's complicated for sure.
Yeah, it really is.
And we have so many manufacturers out there who, their primary goal is the bottom line. They
absolutely,
they'll do anything to make money, and they may start out with altruistic goals. Mm-hmm. That are, we've got this wonderful healthy food that is going to revolutionize healing and all that kind of stuff. And, sure, then they get the investors involved, and the investors want to make money. They want to get a return on their investment. So they start pushing them. And what happens is they start cutting corners. They start pulling ingredients that are a little more expensive and replacing them with other things. And before you know it, you're just back to another processed food that ends up causing more problems than it solves.
Absolutely. And I worked in the financial services industry for 13 years. So I'm well aware of the companies, all of the publicly owned companies their main focus is to please their investors because the investors want dividends.
Yeah.
And that's their focus.
Right.
And the world is the way it is. And the same thing happens with pharmaceutical companies.
Oh my God.
Don't misunderstand.
Don't
I mean,
yeah,
I know there's a definite place for Western medicine. But before Western medicine, there was Eastern medicine and, natural medicines. Food is medicine. And if we could get back, at least to starting the path back to that, because health insurance companies they want to keep you ill because you keep buying their products. So yeah, I'm with you on big pharma. we don't want to go there today.
We could have a whole conversation about that topic.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll do that some other time. But for this, I wanted to kind of try and stay on focus on
Absolutely
the whole life purpose idea. Now, you got very excited about your life purpose because you discovered something along your path. I guess your situation put you in a position where you needed information, and so you started doing your own research. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, was the key, because in the process of doing that research, then you also began to find inspiration. You might get excited about one kind of thing and say, oh, I've got to tell people about this. You find yourself feeling inspired. So help me understand a little bit more where you got your inspiration that drives you to work so hard to try and help people and to get the message out.
I think you really hit it on the nail on the head with research, because I started reading as much as I could about diabetes and diabetics and how it affects people and how it affects me. And yes, there are people that anybody that has diabetes has diabetes, but it's different. It's not always the same in everybody. And I think people feel that if they just take a pill, whatever, it's going to react the way for them, the way it does for everybody else. And that's not necessarily true. So having a partnership with your endocrinologist and a diabetes educator, those are things that I learned a lot from talking to those people and reading, always researching. And I'd read an article and then I'd look something up to kind of validate what I just read to them, because I wanted to make sure I was reading the proper information. If I was going to share it, I wanted it to be validated and true. Of
course.
And that's what really moves me, because I still do that. I look for things all the time. How can I use this information to help somebody? How can I get through to somebody, about this particular topic when I feel so strongly that it will help them, And that's really what it was, the research, I think. And of course, the practices that I was doing. I mean, I could see the difference, the weight loss, the blood sugar, the blood results were astronomical. Seriously, that was like the biggest thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm onto something here. And
so you now teach people how to be their own inspiration.
Yes.
Because you are a walking testimonial to your own process.
And I fully believe you are your own best advocate when it comes to your health.
Right.
So the more knowledge I can share with people to help them understand their particular situation, the better it is for them. If I can make them feel better, more relaxed, thinner, happier. It was surprising to me that most people think one of the warning signs of diabetes is you drink a lot of water and you're thirsty all the time. Well, I've always been a big water drinker ever since I gave up diet soda, which was eons ago.
Right.
So I didn't have that problem, but I was really cranky. And I didn't even know that was a symptom, And I read that and went, oh, that's why. That's why I'm so miserable.
Yeah. Right. So just because you have a symptom, though, doesn't mean you necessarily have the disease. They say
Exactly.
that if you have the disease, you may see these symptoms. So you got to be really careful and don't misinterpret what's going on.
Absolutely. That's where the
Maybe you're
research
just
comes
thirsty.
in. Yeah, exactly. A lot of times people think they're drinking a lot of water because they drink a lot of coffee or tea, or they drink soda. That's not the same.
Right.
You absolutely need to drink the actual plain old ordinary water, which that's like my drink of choice for years.
Right.
But you're right. You have to, look at the symptoms you have, and then, speak to your healthcare team, find out what's really going on, have them do tests. Their blood tests can tell your doctors so much about you, not just your glucose levels or your A1C, but all of your sodium, your chloride, your cholesterol. I mean, everything they can tell by just a simple blood test.
Yeah.
So if the doctor says you need blood work, my theory is, don't fight it. Just go get it. It's, it will help you help your doctor.
Right. So Renee just asked for some contact information for you, and I'm just looking up your. Let's see. Where are you?
It's I don't know if I can type this in the chat.
No, you can. Here, let me just do this real quick.
Okay.
Oops.
Wait. Yeah.
Think of God. I spelt your name wrong. Achatz, right?
I was able to put one in there under her comment.
Oh yeah, I prefer not to put emails into the thing. That's why I was looking for your link.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I think because I'm so used to telling people this is how you can reach me.
Yeah, that's
my business. That's my coaching.
There's your link on the Wellness.
Yes, that's perfect.
And yeah, anybody can connect with you there.
Right.
And they can message you from there as well.
Plus, if you get, come and join us on the Wellness Universe, because you get to meet people like David and other fantastic people. You will never regret checking out the Wellness Universe. It's a gift, seriously.
Yeah. Well, most of the people I think who are on the in the audience today are members of the Wellness Universe. But if you're not, then I really encourage you to go check it out. Go to thewellnessuniverse.com. And you can find both of us there, and just do a little search in the World Changers section, and just do a search for our names, and you'll find us. And yeah, I'm open to connecting to everybody. My focus is a little different. My whole focus is on life mastery in general, and there's still overlap. That's the beauty of the kind of work we do at the Wellness Universe. So. Inspiration. We talked a little bit about inspiration. How do you stay enthusiastic about your purpose? Or do you find that the purpose is just enough to keep you going?
Sometimes it is. And like anything else, sometimes, there are frustrations. But I find that when I am in a group of, like with my coaches, business coaches or other coaches, I find I get a lot of inspiration just from interacting with other coaches, no matter what they're coaching. It doesn't make a difference, because we're all wanting, our purpose is to help and to teach. And that really is, that helps feed, the inspiration, because you can get a lot of great ideas from one simple conversation. But I also find meditation and prayer to be really, really useful. Yeah. Because that's what I need for my own daily life. Whatever I have to go through, I turn to prayer and meditation, because I know that's what I've discovered that's something that I really need. It's part of self-care that I've learned to really appreciate and use more of, Right. And I read a lot of books. I'm currently reading several books. One of is Ask and and you should ask, and it is given, I think, Abraham Hicks
Right.
book, and The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne. That's her new book, Following the Secret, and the four agreements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
there's a lot
anybody
of
can
great
pick up
books
those books and be inspired in so many ways.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I do much of the same stuff. I find meditation very, very powerful. I think people have a misunderstanding, I think, about what meditation really is,
Mm-hmm.
and that you have to, sit and getting here now. That's what it is. And so you can do it in all kinds of different ways. And one of the reasons I think they teach this method of sitting with your eyes closed and focusing on the breath is because the breath happens right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so easy.
The breath is not yesterday or tomorrow. It's right here, right now. And that's the reason that they ask people to focus on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you don't, like you said, you don't need any instructions really, other than just sit quietly and breathe.
Right.
I mean, there are even software programs, they call it brain entrainment, where there are guided meditations, or maybe it's a meditation of a bubbling brook or something. And then you traditionally you wear earphones with that. And you can hear like a beat kind of in the background.
Right. It's called
it's a neuroscience,
isotonic tones is one of them, and binaural beats is the other.
Yes, binaural beats. Yes.
Yeah. And I've been creating some of my own meditation music, which
that's great.
Yeah, it's it's not. I call it trance meditation music because it's all designed to keep people or to help you get your brainwave entrainment at about 7.83 hertz, which is the.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
the binaural beats is basically choosing a frequency, a center frequency, and then offsetting on either side by half of that 7.83 hertz difference, so that you hear one frequency in your left ear and the other frequency in the right ear.
Right.
And then what happens is the brain resolves it back to the original frequency, but the beating process that happens as a result of that helps to stabilize your brain at a certain frequency. And that range around 8 hertz is a powerful meditation range because it doesn't put you to sleep. It keeps you in a state of focus and presence. So that's what I've been doing, and it's I'm going to be.
You ever release those? Let me know. I'm buying them.
Well, I have tried releasing them as separate MP4s or MP3s, I should say, but I'm reworking everything now, and I'm going to have a complete website on. It's going to be called Life Mastery Meditation, and
that's exciting.
And it'll actually have 2 parts. There'll be the meditation part, and there'll be daily or weekly affirmation part. And they're going to be kind of timed independently of each other. But if you purchase both, you get access to everything. And
that's awesome. Ooh, yeah. I can't wait.
Well,
Put
anyway,
me on your list.
Yeah, meditation can be very, very powerful. And of course, you don't need music to do it, but it can be helpful. And I like music because I'm a musician. I have been all my life. And I thought I'm going to try and create something that has this positive, life-affirming power to it as part of my own mission, my own purpose. And my purpose, I've shared this before, I create universal harmony by modeling, fostering, and facilitating authentic magnificence. That is my personal mission statement. And so I try to make
beautiful.
I try to make sure everything I do falls in alignment with that. That's what I try to do.
No, you're very good. You're very good at it. Seriously, you're David, the truth teller. He's very good.
Well, thank you.
No, I really agreed with that when Deborah said that in her episode. Like, yes, he is a truth teller. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
We need people like you. We need you, especially now.
Yeah, I'm beginning to see that. But I have to tell you, there's sometimes a price to pay for telling the truth. And that price has been, I've had lots of people who have just decided to move on and stay away from me because they don't like the message that I share. It somehow conflicts with what they already believe, or,
Sure.
you know, and so I say, I love you, go do what you need to do. And I wish
Yeah.
you all the best.
The other thing is the beliefs that we come into this world pure and a clean slate. But as we progress in life, we pick up baggage along the way. And it's not just our own baggage. It's our ancestors' baggage. It's not just our parents. It goes back and back and back.
That's right.
To each generation.
We get to carry it around.
Yes. Yeah. And you really have to get to the point where you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I need to change. I can't, I mean, like, for instance, I can't keep going to the doctor and having him yell at me about my blood sugar.
Right.
And I need to stop this. I need to change it. And then not only do you say, I don't know how, but it's really important to say, what is the reason beneath the lowering the blood sugar? Because there's always a reason beneath the reason. There's always another why under the why. And a coach will help you discover what those layers of why are, so that you can say, okay, your bottom line is, yes, you do want to reduce your sugars so that your doctor doesn't yell at you all the time. But perhaps your real reason, and this could be several layers down, is because I don't want to have a limb amputated, or because I want to be able to play with my children or my grandchildren.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to die young. And I think sometimes people, I'm sure people think that, but it's not something that they go around saying, but it's there. And it's a good reason to make those changes. But until you find out the why beneath the why, that's what a coach does. A coach helps you discover that. So then the coach can help you through it. So that's why having a coach is so helpful. It's so helpful.
Right.
And because there's no judgment. There's no judgment. Coaches are not there to change you or to fix you, because you don't need to be fixed. Coaches are there to help you discover your why and help lead you to a path that will get you the results that you want. And while you're on that journey, until you get the results, your coach holds that space for you and says, I got your back. I'm holding this space because I believe 100% that you will reach this goal. And I'm holding this space for you for as long as it takes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I just noticed Sarah put in a comment, truth is essential. Be true to yourself always. I think that's a great reminder.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And I think there's a little bit of subtle wisdom underneath that people might not see immediately. First of all, you have to know who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I have a body, and even though I have emotions, and even though I do roles, those are just kind of expressions of who I am. Those aren't necessarily the truth of who I am. And that's why it's important, as Sarah says, to be true to yourself. And that is your true self, not this false image that you've maybe have created about yourself in the world. So I just want to, iterate that and make sure that people understand that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's excellent. I absolutely agree. And sometimes it takes years and wisdom till you can not only find your true self, but admit your true self, admit to you who you truly are.
Exactly.
And that may be something you want to change, or it may be something you want to bring forward and, you have it, pay more attention to,
Mm-hmm.
and again, you have the choice. But I think really that's truth. That's first, you've got to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And Renee mentions you've got to be willing to accept that the truth path can be quite the lonesome road, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. And yet at the same time, what I have learned for myself is I am never truly alone.
Right.
You know, I'm always in connection at a vibrational, energetic level, spiritual level, with all other beings on the planet and everywhere else in the universe. And I'm also in connection with God or spirit or universe, whatever you prefer to call it. My name for it is omnitude. That's what I like to call it.
Oh, I like
So,
that.
yeah, because it is all that is, right?
Sure.
That's the word I use. And when I understand that, when you understand that, when we understand that, then we recognize that we're really not alone. Even though in this physical body, there may not be other bodies around me right now, you know? So the idea of aloneness or lonesomeness is actually a bit of an illusion that's triggered by the ego mind.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And we know you need ego to a certain extent, but you can't let it run your life.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and letting go of ego is difficult because we're never taught to do that.
Right.
I mean, at least my generation, I don't think we were ever taught to do that. And there's a you know, a method of learning how to do that and still retain what ego is supposed to do for you, which is to keep you safe.
Exactly.
But not in fear.
Right. Yeah. And well, that's an interesting part of the conversation too. I mean, the ego is really not here to keep you safe. It's really here to keep itself safe.
Yeah. Right.
That's the
true.
thing that I have learned and I've realized is
Yeah.
my ego is more interested in keeping itself safe and keeping itself alive.
Yes.
If I become a truly spiritual and enlightened being, there's a very good chance that my ego will just simply fade away into nothingness. And my ego does not like that idea.
Right. Right.
My ego says, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to fade off into nothingness. I
Yeah,
have
I'm
a job
important.
to do here, by God. My job is to keep your physicalness safe.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's a really great way to explain it too, I think.
well, that's the way I understand it.
Yeah,
Who
no, I
knows
like
what,
that.
who knows what's really true, right? I mean, on some level, we all know the truth. On
Right.
some level, you know, we're able to connect to it, but only when we are connected to the true essence of who we are. When we transcend our ego mind and get back into our soul and allow the soul to run the show rather than the ego mind, that's when we get to know the truth of who we are, and truth in general, absolute truth, becomes more available to us.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of growth work that I have learned.
Yeah. And you really want to continue to do that growth work as long as you breathe.
Exactly.
Because there's always more that you can learn, even if it's just more that you learn about yourself or your partner or the other members of your family. Just trying to understand where they're coming from before you open your mouth and make a comment. That's really key. And you do that by knowing yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you don't like who you think you are, it can be changed. You can do it.
Right. And that's another point. Maybe what you don't like isn't so much who you are, but rather this ego mind thing that is pretending, standing in place of who you are.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
That's, this is I think in the long run, when you're coming from a place of love, then it's pretty hard to not like who you really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen to understand, not to reply, even to yourself, says Sarah. Yeah, that's a good piece of
good words there. Wise words, Sarah. I like that.
Piece of wisdom. Listen
Definitely.
to understand. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I like that. Very good.
That's what one of my coaches would call a writer downer.
A writer downer.
Writer downer. Yeah, WRITE.
Oh,
writer downer.
Got it. Yeah. I got
writer
it.
Downer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah. I have to come back and look at that, and I'm going to copy that. That's good. I like it.
Yeah. So life purpose then is something that I believe in the long run emanates out of the truth of who you really are. It's not something that you just magically create out of ego,
Right.
it's going to come from the essence of who you really are. Because ultimately, what you're here to do, the grand purpose of all of life, is to fully express and experience itself. And so if that is true, then part of my job as one of these entities that is in a particular form, my responsibility is to express and experience as much of myself as possible in order to benefit the whole experience of all that is. That is really how it all works. And so in this particular iteration of life, I am finding myself wanting to do more to help other people know the truth of who they really are. That's been my focus for the last, 10 years or so now. Maybe longer than that, 15 years, I guess. Actually, this is 2021, isn't it? So it's 18 years. So I've been really focusing on that issue for 18 years. What does it mean to know who you really are? Now, some people get confused by that because the ego mind is still very active, and the ego mind insists on saying, I am David, I am a man, I am a coach, I am this. It's identifying with all those things, all those roles, and it keeps saying them over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is, I happen to be a human being, or I am a spiritual being having a human experience in this physical male body, and I am participating in life right now by supporting life as a coach. But it's really just a temporary thing. It's not really who I am. And that's the thing that people just get confused with.
Yeah, there are so many different pieces that make up our identity. It's like someone who says, oh, I just can't lose weight. That's their weight identity because they believe they can't do it because everything they tried before didn't work. Doesn't mean
they have an underlying belief that I am overweight.
Exactly.
And as long as I am overweight, I can't be not overweight or whatever.
And I think a lot of times people stay in that spot because they don't know who they will be when they reach that goal.
Right.
Because you're familiar with whatever's going on now. How do you know who you'll be when you lose X number of pounds? You won't know till you get there. But it's the fear of not knowing, which the ego puts in our heads.
Absolutely.
That's what holds people back. And I know for a fact that has helped. Has worked for me. I just came to this breakthrough recently that if I would just, go so far, reach, the pinnacle, reach the top of the mountain. And then I would backslide because I didn't know what was waiting on the other side of the mountain.
Exactly.
Now I can't wait to get there to see what's going to be.
Yeah, isn't that amazing, huh?
Yeah, it really is.
I've had the same experience in my life, particularly in doing what I call shadow work. It's, people are really afraid to look at their shadow parts because they think that they're bad. They think that they're going to do damage. They're gonna be out of control or whatever. And of course, none of that is true. That's just the story that comes through the ego mind. Oh, you got to hide that part. That part of you is not good.
Right. Yeah.
You can't.
Because somebody told them.
Part.
Yeah. Somebody said, no, your mother told you, father, your boss, your friend, whoever told you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The authority told you, whoever that authority is.
And the thing is, when I first started doing that work, I was doing it in groups with other men. Mm-hmm. And when I watched other men do it, that gave me more courage, or I won't say it gave me courage. I was able to find my own courage to do the same work. And then the more I revealed the truth about my shadow parts, the more I understood that people now trusted me more than they did before when I was pretending to hide those shadows.
Yeah, you have to let that vulnerability show.
Yeah. And so
now,
it
does take courage to do that. Yeah,
and absolutely. So now it's kind of like you talked about, being afraid to go over the mountain and see what's on the other side. Well, that was exactly the same for me. I didn't want to go in there. I didn't want to, risk being seen and hated and all the rest of that stuff. So I avoided it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But once I discovered that the reactions were the exact opposite of what I had been expecting, then I became interested in finding out more about myself. So now I look forward to, those opportunities to dig in and find more shadows and see what else is down there. It becomes an adventure.
Yes. Yeah. And life should be an adventure. Life should not be a chore. Life should be a treat, an adventure. And every day you wake up and thank you, God, I'm here. I got to have another adventure today.
That's right. Yeah. And that's the beauty of finding and really connecting to your life purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get that, regardless of how you do it, whether you do it because it just comes out of your true essence, or whether you do it because of some work that you're doing on yourself, the point is, once you have that purpose and you understand what it is and you resonate with it, then all of your life suddenly starts to make more sense, and you start doing things with a greater sense of alignment and honesty and truth about who you really are. And everything just gets to be more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I've had lots of jobs where every Sunday night I'd get a stomach ache because I knew I'd have to go to this job that I really didn't want to be doing.
Right.
I have, ever since I started this journey, even just to become a health coach, to become certified, I never once felt that way. It was all excitement and experience and wow, what's going to happen? What comes next? And where can I take this? And how can I help that? I mean, it's life. That's when life really becomes joyful.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, Diane, we've just been going. It's almost an hour already.
I know, it went so fast. I could sit here and talk to you all day, seriously.
Yeah, well, it's awesome to have you here, and I love your energy, and I just want to give you a chance to to say any final words that you'd like to close with, because I'm gonna have to wrap up here.
Right. The only thing I would offer is that I am here to help you navigate your next step. If you are just tired of your present circumstance, let's have a discussion, a strategy session to see how we can change that for you to get you to the other side of the mountain so that you look forward to getting to that goal and knowing what comes next, whatever it may be.
Right.
Reach out.
And do you have a specific web page or a gift or something that people can sign up for?
Actually, I would be thrilled. Anybody can call, can schedule a call with me, a free call, just a discussion call, discovery call, whatever you want to call it. Just an introductory call that an hour-long call. Absolutely, that is, something that I offer.
Okay.
To everybody who really wants to, to have a conversation.
All right. Well, then I will get the details from you, and I'll put that on the webpage where this recording will reside. And then
great, because I have a scheduler through Calendly, and it's really easy. People could just go pick the day and the time and whatever. So it makes it easy for them.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Diane. It's been just a blast. I've had a lot of fun here talking to you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that I've had this opportunity to share my story and to actually spend more time with you, because it's been so much fun for me. And,
great.
Exchange of ideas. And again, it's the exchange of energy. That's how we give back to other people. We energetically, we exchange either energy in conversation or money or whatever it is. But once you have that energetic exchange, you're good to go and everything can happen.
Right. Yeah.
All good things.
Yeah. All right. And thank you all for being here and for watching this show, whether it's the live presentation or a recording. I'd just like to remind you that the recording of this show and every other show that I've ever done will appear on my website, lifemasterytv.com. That's life-mastery-tv.com. I really hope you enjoyed today's presentation and had as much fun as we did here. What's going to happen is you're going to receive an email from the Learn It Live platform maybe a couple of hours after this show is over. And my request is that you take the time to fill out a review and help us to spread the word. If you can give us a 4 or 5 star review, that really would be great. And of course, it's got to come from your heart. I don't want you to do something that doesn't feel in alignment. So that's my request. And finally, last but not least, I just want to remind you all about what I call the Life Mastery Mantra, which goes like this. I gratefully forgive the imperfect being I have been in the past. I gratefully accept the magnificent being I am right now. I gratefully welcome the evolved being I am becoming in each new moment. So until we meet again, I want to thank you one more time for being here. I want to wish you all the very best and remind you that I am David McLeod, your Life Mastery Coach, wishing you love, light, and blessings on your continuing journey. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.